Have you ever felt distant from God? Like no matter what you do, God feels so far away. Welcome to Bible Talk with Jared. Let's talk about it. You know, feeling distant from God is something I think we've all experienced at one time or another. And if you're a new believer in Jesus, you're a new Christian, you found this channel and you're looking for some encouragement and you're like, "Man, I feel like God is like on another planet." You've come to the right place. So, how do we overcome this? Well, I'd say this. Number one, recognize that feeling. Recognize that feeling. Now, King David is a person in the Bible, in the Old Testament of the Scriptures, in Psalms chapter 13, verses 1 and 2. Listen to this person, David, that God called a man after his own heart. Listen to the anguish and the struggle that he's having with this type of feeling that God is so far away. Oh Lord, how long will you forget me? Whew, man. I mean, that's kind of a deep feeling. And he goes, forever? So you can tell that David is having this struggle. It feels like that God has forgotten him for a very long time. How long will you look the other way? How long must I struggle with anguish in my soul? See, David's man, he's struggling. When he talk about his soul is made up of your mind, your will, and your emotions. He's feeling this, as he says, with sorrow in my heart every day. I think we have to understand that feeling distant isn't unique just to you. Even David, as we can tell, cried out to God with this feeling that he's been abandoned. So how do you overcome something like this? I think you admit where you're at to God. He already knows, right? So you open up your heart to him. You admit to him, God, I feel like you're 1,000 miles away. Number two, I think you refocus on God's presence. You refocus on God's presence. You know, Jesus says in the New Testament, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Psalms 34:18, David again, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. See, David learns from this experience, you know, and a few chapters later, he's talking about the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He had an encounter with Jesus. He had an encounter with God that even though at that time he felt that God was so far away, he also recognized that God draws close to us when we feel like he's far away. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. In the New Testament, James, one of my favorite books of the Bible, verses chapter 4, verse 8 says this: come close to God, and God will come close to you. So, what do you do when you, I think, realize, or you have this feeling that God has somehow is far away from you? You move closer to Him. God hasn't moved; you've moved. We don't know how. Sometimes just life gets busy, and sometimes we can just stray away in our relationship with God. Not that is a eternal thing or heaven or hell thing. We just and then that distance we feel is us that have moved away. It's like moving away from a fire. You ever been camping before? I live in Iowa, so have you ever been camping before? Ever sat by a fire and that fire could be blazing hot, and how the further you get away from that fire, the colder you get. That fire is still hot. That's kind of like how it is with our relationship with God at times. Sometimes we're so close to Him, it feels like we're on fire. Other times we can pull away from them and we feel like we're cold. Well, because we are cold. You know what I'm saying? I think the best way to rekindle that, so to speak, is to begin seeking Him through prayer, worship, and the Word. And you say, Jared, man, that's a lot. Yeah, it could be. So start small, but be consistent. And sometimes, I know I can say, man, I'm praying, I'm reading my Bible, I'm going to church, and doing all that. And I still feel distant from God. What do you do then? Wait. Maybe it's sometimes we just don't do anything. We wait. Purposeful waiting draws us closer to Him, right? Because for those who wait on the Lord, right, who wait on the Lord, it's a very important understanding. Waiting in His presence draws Him not to us. so to speak, but really us to him. Number three, I think we rebuild with community. Matthew chapter 18, verse 20 says, "For where two or three gather together as my followers, I am there among them." I think we can surround ourselves with other believers to encourage us. Maybe hold us accountable in some areas in our life, and then remind you of God's truth when you feel weak. Man, we all need someone. That's why I like teaching on social media and putting this content out so it can actually encourage one another. Well, you're encouraging me by watching and liking and sharing and just commenting, but I'm also encouraged by teaching as well. So if you feel distance from God, don't lose hope. Again, Jesus said, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Feeling this way doesn't mean you're forgotten or lost or unloved. It's just a season. It's a tough season, but this too will pass. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who might need encouragement. Let me know in the comments below. How about this? Let me know in the comments below the one way you have reconnected with God today or this week, and or some how you've reconnected to God during a tough season. That would be an encouragement to others. And don't forget to subscribe, and so you can get more content like this. See you later.